And that needs to change. But there's hope on that front. And there's hope on police investigations. I have a bill, we now have 62 sponsors, to call a requirement of having an independent prosecutor when a law enforcement officer uses deadly force and injures or kills an individual. We were able to influence Loretta Lynch and get involved here with Ed Stanton III and investigate the Darius Stewart shooting. The Darius Stewart shooting was a wrongful act. Amy Wire said it. She asked for an indictment on voluntary manslaughter. When the DA asked for an indictment, there should have been an indictment. And there what went on in that grand jury room is beyond us. But if there was an independent prosecutor, we wouldn't have to really worry that maybe there was some kind of home cooking. The policeman said he was in fear for his life because Darius Stewart, who I think was 5'10" and 130 pounds, might knock him unconscious and get his gun and shoot him. And the officer also said he got up, he planted his leg and his foot in a certain proper posture, drew his weapon out, and shot him twice in the chest. When the officer got himself in a proper position and drew his gun, he was no longer in fear that a 5'10", 130-pound youngster was going to knock him unconscious and take his gun. There are some good things going to happen. The treaty with Iran was important in keeping the world safe from nuclear disaster. I was proud to support the president. I went with a group of Congress people to Vienna. We visited with the International Atomic Energy Association. Let me assure you they have on-the-ground opportunities to and did and will oversee the Iranian facilities. All these things about self-policing are not true. It was a great treaty. It is important that we negotiate and that we don't bring the world closer to nuclear war with brinksmanship.
You know, there's a number of issues that I strongly agree with our congressman on. But one that I disagree on is when he referred to this is a collection of liberals. And I don't see a collection of liberals in this room that's too mild a term. With all due respect. Because a liberal organization would support and believe that we can domesticate or civilize the system that we live under, instead of understanding that that system is woefully and hopelessly corrupt, it is woefully and hopelessly racist, it is woefully and hopelessly sexist, and it must end. But we know that we have an ally in Washington that we can dialogue with and talk to. When we go to Washington and when we go to City Hall and we make these things happen. Not just with our representatives, but working through good representatives and holding all of our representatives accountable. So I want to thank Steve Cohen for all his service, and I want to thank all of you for making everything that he and every other elected official that does right happen. So thank you all, and thank you, Congressman. Moving forward in our program tonight, I promised when we put this program together that there would be as few men speaking as possible, so I'm going to make this very brief. All right, so we're here tonight to celebrate 34 years of this organization, and that organization has gone through many different changes because it's not something that belongs to us, it is something that we pass through and pass on to those who come after us. So the Peace and Justice Center has worked on a variety of issues and a variety of causes. There's a lot of faces I see out here tonight, old friends and very new ones. But what makes this organization unique and makes this organization special is that all of those voices move forward in common cause to make this city a better place. This city where our children are born and will grow up. This city where our parents will spend their golden years. This city, our city, needs this organization, and this organization needs every single one of you to continue to push, to continue to be maladjusted at times, to continue at sometimes to say things that aren't popular. Because right and wrong has right and wrong has nothing to do with what is popular or unpopular. Every single hero or luminary that this movement raises up was demonized and chastised and thought down of, and people said, oh, you don't want to get near those people. Every single step of progress in the history of this nation, this planet, was done by that. So, what I call on you tonight is to continue that work and continue everything that we do. And I want to talk about the people who do the work here. I want to talk about the incredible staff that we've been blessed to have here. And I want to please give a round of applause for our entire staff. Clapping's a lot easier than paying them, because I couldn't pay them what they're worth. I couldn't pay any one of them half of what they're worth. I want to thank every one of them, and I want to start with thanking our train director, Gia Lopez, who oversees not only our skill-based training, but the internalized trainings that help us deal with the internal issues that we put out into the community. Gio is a one-person department who handles so much with so few resources. And every day I sit next to her, I feel blessed and appreciative of the opportunity I've had to get to know her and to learn from her. Thank you, Gio. And on this line, too, I want to thank my brother, Paul Gardner. Who comes in every single day ready to fight for this community, ready to make the sacrifices that we've all had to make to do this. And I want to say how much I appreciate you, how much I believe in you, and how proud I am of you. Thank you, Paul. And you wouldn't even be able to hear me on this mic if it weren't for Bennett Foster, who's been working hard. Networking when he should be taking a bow. That says a lot about the person that Bennett is and the hard and relentless work he does with the great people of the Memphis Bus Riders Union fighting every day for trans justice. Thank you. I want to thank Veronica Virgin, who came into our staff this year and is doing incredible work with the helping to raise awareness in this community about notarial fraud and about those who would seek to take advantage of those in our community and take advantage of masquerade as those who perform help. See, that's the problem in this city. We have a lot of good guys. We have a lot of bad guys who masquerade as the good guys. We see that with our homeless services. We see that with our immigrant brothers and sisters. Veronica is taking over from the great work that Iris Mercado did last year. And we're going to tell that to Veronica, what you did, and you did exceptionally well. Thank you. I want to thank Brooks. There you go. Say it again. Wear it out. I want to thank Brooks Sarton, who you don't often see her work, but you see her work in everything that we do. Who's been our operations director now for the past 2-3 years, and who worked so hard even for this event today with a lot of things behind the scenes. And frequently her biggest job is talking me off the ledge when we pay bills each month. So thank you very much, Brooke. Thank you for all that you do. And I certainly would be remiss if I didn't thank Tamara Hendricks. And I want to thank you, Tamara, because Tamara is the epitome of what our work is about. When I came to work at the center and I got assigned to work on the issue of homelessness, I didn't know anything about homelessness except that it was bad. And so I had the pleasure of going to the Manor House and learning from the real experts on the issue of homelessness, which are the people who lived it and the people who live it each day. Tamara was a member of HOPE. She came up and was elected the vice president of HOPE, and then came on the staff and is now helping to organize this group as HOPE hopes to move off one day and becoming its own independent C3 organization. Thank you for your warmth, for your patience, and for your humor. I will not thank you for the music you play, but I will thank you for the joy you bring into our office. And I want to thank all of our interns, every single one, starting of course with Ashley Caldwell. Where are you, Ashley? Ashley, who came in on Christmas Eve to do some work just because she had some things to catch up on. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you for all the work that you do. I want to thank Justin Davis. Just like the Lost member Shell won. They're really good. And I want to thank Schaefer Mallory, my son, who's doing outstanding work. It's the South. Don't worry about it. You can be my son. Who's done outstanding work with the Peace and Justice podcast, digging deeper into the work we do every day. And if any of our board members here, could you all briefly stand? But I failed because of how grateful I am to all the people who've been involved in this organization, all the people who've come before us, all the folks who work with us, and all the people who make this possible. So now we're going to move into our program today, and I want to thank you all for being here because each and every one of you is what makes this work possible. Because if it wasn't for events like this and the donations that you make, that's what allows us to take the hard stances that we take sometimes. It allows us the independence of doing the things that we do. Before we move to our speakers, I want to thank our sponsors. I particularly want to thank First Congo Church for allowing us to use this facility. This was our home for a great many years, and even though our offices aren't here anymore, it's always good to come back and be welcomed and embraced as First Congo always has. Thank you, First Congo Church. In addition to all of our other sponsors, the folks at Manor House, who have been some of our most stalwart and consistent allies, who are doing the work every day in the community. Thank you, Manor House. So, I'm done talking now.
One, Black feminist and intersectional work are simultaneously the left and also the radical left of the left. Center politics do not allow for intersections, and left politics are often at a loss for what to do with them. So the left should look, as Beyonce would say, to the left, and then to the left. Keep going to the left, keep going, way over there. That's where intersectionality is, that's where the justice ideas are. Second, there's some new moves in Black feminism made possible by the digital, by the internet, by social media, in which Black women are working out what Black feminist justice looks like, what real inclusion looks like, by challenging the heteronormative, ableist, nationalist, and middle-class assumptions that undergird some forms of Black feminist work. Black feminists are not perfect. I know I have said that here, probably, but they are not perfect. But the left can learn from their willingness to listen to people who are different to strengthen their entire enterprise. Black feminism is stronger when it not only addresses a range of oppressions, but practically and theoretically includes multiple voices in its framework. And if you don't believe Black feminists are fighting with each other, go on Twitter. And it's not easier for Black women to do this work because they're all skin folk, because you know what Black people say about skin folk, not all skin folk, skin folk. There's a lot of fights happening there, but it's a good work. Third, queer Black feminist, University of Chicago political scientist, and founder of the Black Youth Project, Kathy Cohen, argued in 2004 for a queer politics of deviance, one that included a range of people on the margins of blackness. A version of her argument, in fact, was called punks, bulldaggers, and welfare queens. The Black feminist blogosphere and organizing around Black feminist issues is where we can find what Cohen has termed as queer politics of deviance. The left might learn from the kind of coalition work of the margins politics that Cohen suggests, and this coalition need not be built on something as vague as being against the capitalist vampires and werewolves. So today, Black feminists are still showing up for Black women and Black people more generally, whether in a courtroom in Oklahoma for the sentencing of a serial rapist of Black women, speaking out against R. Kelly and Bill Cosby, or on the ground at protest die-ins and labor meetings. Black women are there at the margins. The question is the rest of the left there? I'm excited about the possibility of our particular political moment because of the increasingly diverse and aware young people that have studied the movements before and have devised new strategies for success. And I'm excited about the challenge and lessons Black feminism offers for the left and to the left. But I'm also weary of the blind spots. And even though I have an affinity for old white guy radicals, I'm gonna go ahead and out myself right now. I voted for Nader in 2000. It was the first time I voted. I'm one of those Tennessee guilty people, so I came out now. Right, out. It's my fault that Gore lost Tennessee. I was 18, whatever. So even though I have an affinity for old white guy radicals, use my French, Bernie Sanders right now is fucking up. From his Black Lives Matter blustering to his dismissal of reparations as politically divisive, oh my God, I was like, LOL, side-eye, needy lick single payer option, what? That's pretty politically divisive. So don't put reparations on and then vote with the single payer option. So anyway, he clearly has not talked with any Black feminists about this work. But I'm encouraged by Bernie because he can learn, and the left can teach him the left of the left of the left. So there's no place to start except for with what you know. And if there are deficiencies, if you do not know the contours of the margins, then you must learn them. A different kind of freedom, a radical Black feminist freedom, depends on all of our reckoning with the intersections at the margins. Thank y'all.
Hi everyone. My name is Jamie Young and I'm privileged in so many ways. But my favorite privilege is to work every day. I get to work with the women of Hope Women's Caucus. In a town like Memphis, where cis women without shelter are treated as an afterthought, a name on a waiting list, trans and gender non-conforming people are treated as rubbish to be cleared from the streets. It is no accident that nearly half of our membership is made up of Black trans women. And I speak on their behalf. I've been authorized to say that we're completely over the moon to welcome Elle Hearns, who is every kind of trans freedom fighter we hope to be globally. And for myself, who is trying to learn how to speak truth to power, I'm so happy to be able to shut up, listen, and learn. Black Lives Matter. I said, Black Lives Matter. Okay. Y'all feel me?
Keep it going. Keep it going. Let me hear you. For Tamir, for Sandra, for Rakia, for Tanisha, for Darius, for Sandra, for Mike, for Freddie, for Walter, for you, for us, for us, for us. Stand up. Get up. Get up. Stand up. For who? Say her name. 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 Black Lives Matter, y'all. Thank you. Black Lives Matter, Concerned Citizens for Justice, and TNTJ are standing in solidarity with the family of Darius Stewart, our siblings who are harassed by the MPD because of their gender expression, and the newly formed BLM Memphis from what we can sit in these rooms and talk, y'all. I've done it. It's not my favorite thing to do. But it's the only thing that's connected to the bigger picture. Black Lives Matter is not a movement. It is a movement. How are you participating in the movement? And how are you erasing that a movement exists? What's very clear is that the names that we know and the names that we don't know, that list will continue to grow. It has grown. In 2015, we saw the most accounted murders by the state ever. What's not a coincidence is that we also saw the most murders of trans women of color. So it's really important for us to develop an analysis and practice around who's most impacted by systemic, structural, and physical violence in our communities, and also at the hands of the state. So this election year is not an exciting time, especially for the left. The right is doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They're xenophobic, they're Zionists, they're homophobic, transphobic. That's who the right is. They taught us that a long time ago. But who the left is has not been defined. And if it has been a disappointment. And I was a part of a contingent of Black and brown women that held those presidential candidates accountable for the murder of Sandra Bland and their lack of acknowledgement for her murder. We also held them accountable for what exactly they were going to do for the voters that they are lobbying to the most. Black women account for the majority of votes amongst all groups. So it was no coincidence that we strategized and supported each other in that action. What has been a coincidence and a great surprise is the analysis that has been developed from these candidates, specifically Bernie Sanders. Bernie did not have that analysis in June or July of 2015. Right.
So I want us to be very clear what it looks like to acknowledge and honor the intellectual property of Black women, of Black queer women, Black trans women, who continuously gift us with something to organize around. This language, this analysis, these lives, these organizing skills, these models, they are not our own. Kimberly Crenshaw, Barbara Smith, we come from great lineage. And until we acknowledge that lineage and also honor the lineage that's been created, we all will continue to fail. And it's your responsibility to hold folks accountable, such as Bernie and Hillary, who's on a world tour right now to garner Black votes. Just be clear. She actually has no resolution for how she's going to support anyone. But it looks like she does. We held her accountable because of her relationship to corporations, to private prisons, and her husband's relationship to mass incarceration of Black people. So I know I'm talking to the left of the movement right now. Be clear that your left is not very left. She received an endorsement from one of the mothers of someone who was murdered. And I want that to stand as an example of what it looks like to utilize Black pain and suffering to propel one forward. And how white women who are a part of the movement have capitalized off of that pain. So I just, I want us to be very clear of who we're supporting and what we're supporting, especially when there's a great need to support. But you have a responsibility to support those who are the most unlike you. A responsibility to support those who touch not your heart, but the heart of a community. So I don't want this to be like an altar call, because I truly believe that Jesus and God is a Black trans woman. But I want you all to just sit, and maybe you can yell it out. I don't know what y'all want to do. I don't know what y'all do in the South. Shout out to the South, I'm excited to be here. But I want you to think about, what does this moment and this movement mean for you? What does it mean for your work? What does it mean for your community? And what does it mean for your family? And who are you defining as family? Black Lives Matter is an immigration issue. We don't talk about Black refugees who are denied access to this country. We can't have a conversation about immigration. We can't talk about where jailing comes from. We can't talk about detention. So at what point do we expand upon our own circumstances to have a dream for somebody else whose circumstances are different? What actual resources are we going to obtain and pursue to make sure that Black trans women actually have a different economic perspective in our society. $10,000 is the annual average income nationally that Black trans women respondents correlated as their income. So as you approach your salary negotiations and you think about your 401ks, I want you to think about the women who have not visioned their lives beyond 21 because their circumstances don't say that they'll be alive. I was one of them. It is a Black Lives Matter reflection of who we are and what we affirm. Where do you fit in? How do you use your privilege to support? And what will be your legacy left behind with this current movement? Is the names of Tiffany Berry, Ebony Whitaker, Alejandro Leos, Duana Johnson that I speak, always in Black love,